What is up, comic fam? Do not adjust your interwebs. You are in the right place if you are here for At Week's End. Little note, Mark will be here momentarily. But as always, the show must go on. We are going to bring in our loyal panel that we have been counting on for years and years. And we will do that right after we take a look at this. So before we get started, don't forget to hit the like button. Make sure you hit the notification button. Make sure you comment as we go along. And as always, we want to make sure that we always thank our channel sponsors. We have Big Time Collectibles. They are here for all of your collecting needs. And also, if you have any pressing or cleaning, Justin Comic is the way to go. Make sure you use the We Are Legion for I believe it's buy one, get one free. So having said that, we're going to bring in our distinguished panel. As always, we have our friend from the Great White North. We have Chris. How you doing, Chris?
Good, my man. How are you?
I am doing well. Thank you for asking.
My
Big win for
pleasure.
the Bills today again.
Big win. Big win.
You
So
know,
Mark's little thing where with the Bills win, I show up
yeah,
on week's end is carrying on.
that's right. It was a much closer game than I thought it would be too. But it was
Yeah, yeah,
the Jets
yeah.
played well, but it also was a good sign that if you're not playing your best, you can still win. That's not a
Yes,
good sign.
yeah. And weather was a factory. Weather
Yeah,
was a factor, but not the factor.
correct.
Yeah.
And then we have our friend way down in the great state of Texas. It is Ryan, new guy. How you doing, Ryan?
Pretty good. I like how we throw around that distinguished word whenever I
Yeah,
show up like this.
you are always distinguished. You guys are the you, Mark, you two, and Mark are the tripod of this. We've determined, right?
Yeah.
So,
Do that.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
so, like as I said, Mark will be here momentarily. He was just got caught doing some family things, as that will happen. So before we get going, let's just take a look and see who is out in the chat tonight. We have Travis, TM Nerdy. We are Legion. And El Green Machine. Yes, we are. Here's a guy. Sup, sup.
Yeah, yeah.
Trev the Shipping Guru. We are Legion. Yes, we are. Mr. DJ Links. Thanks for joining us tonight. Um, Trev the Shipping Guru. Mark, Paul, Ryan, Chris. Hey, that's all of us. Um, and we got Tyler. Shadow Glass Comics Review. We are Legion. Um, so, um, So where to start? Let's start with let's take a well with our little thumbnail there. All right. There was lots of news this week on the DC Comics movie side. Um, how much of it is news? How much of it is just rumor? That's the big question, right? Um,
Yeah.
so the rumor was that Patty Jenkins had submitted a treatment for Wonder Woman 3. It was turned down and she basically walked off, basically.
Yeah.
So, first of all, what are your thoughts about that?
I guess I'll go first, Ryan. I'm one of those that think that Wonder Woman, the first offering, is top three DCEU or DCU. I guess it's DCU, and that's what they're calling themselves. DCU films. The solo stuff, the Wonder Woman one hit on a bunch of different buttons for me. It did very, very well. It was an excellent story, even though it really was not the origin story that us Wonder Woman readers know. It was a very good representation of the character to introduce her to a new fan base that only really recognizes the suit, the logo, and remembers Linda Carter. And, anyways, it was a good way to represent her and introduce her as a powerhouse, what she really is. And then Wonder Woman 84 kind of crapped all over that. It just wasn't good. And I think even hardcore DC fans would say, yeah, that just wasn't good. Right from the casting, from the two primary villains to the story that was there. There were some fantastic special effects. However, special effects, as we know, don't carry a film. Hello, Matrix 4. And I get I kind of felt, okay, well, Patty Jenkins would probably deserve one more kick at the can, but hey, if she wants to take her baseball glove and just go home, then so be it. But again, this week has just been rumor after rumor after rumor. So how true it is, maybe she left, but that doesn't necessarily mean that she's finito. Like, I don't know. Ryan, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, my one word summary based on what we know at this point is that this is just childish. You know, the initial like rumors and stuff was like completely far off base. Ultimately, what it came down to was Patty Jenkins submitted a treatment, not even a script, a treatment to Warner Brothers executives, and they said they wanted, you know, basically that they weren't accepting the version she had submitted, which means that they didn't fire her and they basically offered her the chance to like redo it. And in all honesty, I don't think if Wonder Woman 84 had been perfect, I don't think it would have affected the response that they gave her this time. Simply because they're restructuring, they're changing direction, and at this very moment, they don't know exactly what direction they're headed in. So, from the sounds of it, in no way did they say this sucks and we don't want it. What they said was, this is not the direction we're headed in right now. Please resubmit this. And so, to me, it's just childish. It sounds like she thought that she was going to get whatever she wants out of it. Maybe she thought she was going to get a Joker deal and kind of Todd Phillips the whole thing and just take Wonder Woman and go play in her own field or whatever. But at the end of the day, like, it's just childish that she picked up and left instead of giving them time to sort out their situation and figure out what direction they want to go. Because, you know, it sounds like based on other things we've heard is that James Gunn would like to work with Gal Gadot and Warner Brothers still wants to work with Gal Gadot. So the fact that Patty Jenkins packed up and left kind of tells us this is just a her thing. It's not really the Wonder Woman franchise or the casting that they're neglecting or saying no to.
Yeah, I agree. The only thing I would say is one, it is all rumor. Okay, there was a rumor that said that the treatment had to do with they put Steve Trevor in a Lazarus pit, and then he comes up and he basically is used as a zombie, and they attack the Themyscira, and then at the end he is given to Amanda Waller as part of Task Force C. Don't know whether that's true or not, but that was one of the reports. But the only thing I would say is I agree with everything you both of you have just said. But I guess what I would have done, I mean, I say that from the outside, obviously, but James Gunn and Safran took over maybe like a month ago, maybe about give or take a week or two, maybe.
We'll say 6 weeks for safety.
Yeah. What I would have done, I think, probably is tell any creator that's currently working on a DC property, stop. Okay.
Yeah, stop. We're going to have a Zoom meeting. This is where we want to go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you know, unless you have film that's actually being filmed right now, stop.
Yeah.
Even that's not safe. Hello, Batgirl.
Right. Exactly. You know, because you know, you may give us the greatest treatment, but we don't know if it's going to fit in with what we want yet. So let us get where we want to be first, and then we can tell you where we want to be, and you can make your treatment fit into what it is we want to do. You know? So if they didn't do that, then I guess I would place a little bit of responsibility on Warner's if they didn't do that. Because to me, that would have been the smart thing to do. But even having said that, you know, like you said, it was just a treatment, and to just walk off for that, I mean, she doesn't have her Star Wars movie anymore either. So, you know,
that's
so I don't know
that's how awful Wonder Woman 84 has hit home.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like, you know, Wonder Woman 84 was one of those, like, the reins were a little too loose on it. I kind of get the impression that Jenkins and to some extent even Godot kind of felt a little entitled to, like, more creative control than they had on the previous film. And whether they earned it or not, I don't know, but it was just that film was so loose. Like somebody needed to come in and kind of rein it in and be like, yo, look, like I understand y'all want to like have this scene in there, but it really doesn't fit what's going on. Like, let's slip it into a deleted scene on the digital and Blu-ray release or something like that, you know. But that movie felt, you know, although it was sloppy, a big part of that was just how loose it felt, and it felt like there was a lot of extra stuff stuffed in there just for the sake of like either saying something or getting your creative control, you know.
I found the
Yeah.
movie was just way too much of an homage to mall life in the early 80s in Central America versus a Wonder Woman story. As someone that's been reading Wonder Woman faithfully for the better part of 3 years, you do not need a romantic interest. You do not need Wonder Woman to be actively dating or seeking a partner of any way, shape, or form to
Yeah,
have
all
an
the Steve
excellent
Trevor
Wonder Woman
stuff
story.
was
It doesn't have to happen. You do not
yeah,
need Steve Trevor to carry an excellent Wonder Woman movie. You don't.
yeah,
She doesn't need to be interested. She doesn't need. You don't need the main plot thread to be focused around her love interest. It doesn't have to happen. And then have two separate villains as the backdrop, and that just kind of pushes forward, and the entire movie's wrapped up in 7 to 8 minutes with her in bondage. It doesn't have to be that way, because the first film was not that way at all. It was very well done. And
yeah.
yes, she lost her love interest, but that was very much reminiscent to what Captain America in the first Avenger had to deal with, or I should say the other characters, what they had to deal with in witnessing Cap go under the ice. I hope they don't recast Gal Gadot. I was one of those that was critical when they casted her, because I always pictured Wonder Woman as a very tall, solid woman that's built, and Gal Gadot, as we know,
Like a brick house.
she's not built like Henry Cavill, or she's not bulging with biceps or anything. However, she's delivered in her performances every time, whether it's Zack Snyder's Justice League, the Whedon version of Justice League, or her films. Like, she's done very well, including Batman versus Superman when she first showed up.
Yeah.
So, like we've said before, with Cavill being this generation's Superman, Gal Gadot is now this generation's Wonder Woman as well. And I don't know. I hope they don't want to go down that path of recasting her.
No,
But
honestly, I think what we're going to get out of this, best case scenario, Patty Jenkins tucks her tail and comes back. Worst case scenario, we get something like Ant-Man where they come up with the whole thing and try to just kind of imitate Jenkins to get like that third conclusive feel to it all, you know. But I don't think Wonder Woman is done.
no, we just the Steve Trevor saga needs to come to an abrupt end.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think Pops is right on the mark here. You know, if everyone just needs to chill out, basically, because I guarantee you that if this rumor didn't set you off, there'll be one that'll come soon that probably will. Okay, so until we
No,
see
I got plenty to say on that.
Totally agree with it. Hey, look who's here. Hi, Mark.
Hello,
Hi, Mark. Welcome to your channel.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Did you have anything to add on Wonder Woman?
No. Other than her name is Gal Gadot.
And to your
Not
point, Chris, too,
Gal Gadot.
is actually
No.
one of the things that I really liked about Darwin Cook's New Frontier. I don't know if you've read that or not. He portrays Wonder Woman is taller than any other person in that book. She
also
towers over Superman.
Super savage in that book.
Yeah.
She's
And in fact, he wrote that DC Comics tried to get him to change that, and he refused to do it.
She's
He said,
an
this
Amazon.
is the way Wonder Woman
right? Like,
should be portrayed. She's an Amazon. She's going to be larger, stronger, bigger than anybody else, and
Right,
that's the way he did it.
She's the one character that makes Batman nervous.
I just hope Wonder Woman 3 is Dead Earth.
Yeah,
that'd be cool.
But yeah, James Gunn has been firing on all cylinders over the last week on Twitter, even calling someone out who says, well, I've got people that said this. And he said, well, I've got people that say you still live in your mom's basement. And I'm just like, oh, man.
Yeah.
James, this is what you reduce yourself to, my man. Come on.
And his immediate response was, oh, by the way, some of these are true. Some of these are false. Some of these may be true. Some of these I don't know if they're true. Like.
The one thing that I did like that he made it a point to come back and push back against the one like Cavill's out already. He's like, dude, are y'all kidding me? Not only is Cavill in, he is our primary focus. Or Superman is our primary focus. The most important thing that they're working on is what they're wanting to do with Superman. So I thought that was awesome. That made me happy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think he's kind of. I mean, honestly, after this week, I don't really want to hear too much more out of him. Like, get the plans done.
No,
He's
opposite.
kind of basically told everybody, like, whatever you're hearing is probably not true.
After
Don't worry
Ryan,
about it. We're
content.
already focused.
After next week, Ryan, because we have the actual meeting of Peter, James, and David coming week when they're going to sit down with David. And so after that's when we should get some broad information, some accurate information, some non-speculative information.
Yeah, it's
And then we should have a long silence until something starts happening.
right. I and I agree with Mark there. I really think because I was aware of the meeting that's about to go down this week, and I think that should be it for the DCU front, at least to Fandom. Fandom. I don't want Mark to correct me again. And
The guy that says Maestro.
but yeah,
Exactly.
it's been quite the roller coaster week for everyone at DCU with, a few different websites coming out and calling Black Adam a flop and saying that The Rock no longer holds weight the way he did, and then that turnaround because Danny Garcia has her hand with Henry Cavill as well. All that rumor mill fires up one more time. It's like everyone pump the goddamn brake, man. Just
It's
pump the
nice seeing
brake.
people. I mean, granted, like a lot of it is people just trying to dump on stuff. That's not all it is. It's a lot of people like coming up and saying they hope this happens. They look forward to this happen. There's a lot of people that's showing that there's a huge fandom around DC Comics that would get excited for countless different projects, and the sky's the limit with this guy at the helm.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like it's just like a sleeping giant. I'm not talking like some mega corporation going to make millions. I mean, like a sleeping giant fandom waiting just to get excited about stuff again. So that's really cool.
Lost amongst all of this. Hold on. The one thing that's lost amongst all of this is that the kid from Cobra Kai that's playing Blue Beetle, without realizing, showed a copy of the poster and autographed it, the Spanish version of the Blue Beetle poster that's coming out. And I thought that was really cool. The one thing that everyone's kind of forgotten about is that Blue Beetle's now in the can and it's in its post-production getting ready to come out. And unless you're hardcore into DC, you may not know that much about Blue Beetle. And it should be a breath of fresh air away from everything that's been happening this way.
Yeah, he even referred to it as hopefully a sleeper hit.
Yeah. If it does Deadpool, if it copies Deadpool at the box office, I would consider it quite successful. I'm sorry, Ryan, you were going to say.
Oh, I wasn't going to say much. I do wonder though, like, do y'all know what the budget is on Blue Beetle? It's got to be a smaller budget, right?
I don't think it started till after COVID, so it should be okay.
Yeah, it was originally slotted to be a HBO Max movie, and then they moved it to move it to theatrical.
Because I think that's where a lot of potential lies. Is if it was a small budget, they have a chance to like knock this out of the park and get an easy win.
Boom, perfect. Rumored budget of $90 million. So I'm thinking like Venom movies. Like Venom was made. The first Venom was made with $80 million. The second with $90 million. And you don't have to pull in nothing at the box office. So it's a manageable. You saw what they did with that.
Deadpool.
Granted, the quality of graphics and
that movie should be able to do 150 easy, which is enough to put it over.
You would hope.
Depends on what they do with the marketing stuff. Seems like especially lately, I think the companies have been overcompensating with the market, trying to drive people back to theaters by doing it and shooting themselves in the foot heavily.
Yeah, we're about to find out how many people are actually going to return to the theater.
120 would be kind of high. Yeah. That'd be pretty hard for them to really make it over the top,
120 with Russia and China, or Russia being closed and China always up in the air. That's tough.
Yeah. Tough. Well, and I mean, I think Mark had talked about this last week, right? Like we really need to figure out how to evaluate a movie in the modern era at this point, because everything's changed with the way markets show movies and the amount of people that turn out for the theater versus digital versus home buy or whatever. So there definitely needs to be a reevaluation on how we look at movies and success. But at the moment, I could see 90 million being an easy home run for them. 120 is a little bit of a stretch. That might be a tough one to pull off with such a small character.
What else have y'all hit on so far?
That was pretty much it. Yeah, you didn't miss much.
Oh, cool. Yeah, we don't have the kids, so we had to do like some rush to do stuff without the kids with this kind of stuff. Took the wife out for dinner, and then yeah, good evening, very good evening.
Did you cut down your Christmas tree?
Yes,
Okay.
but I dug it up. I forgot the axe.
Okay, you just ripped it out.
Yeah.
A lot of roots to get through at this point.
It's been a quiet week for the MCU and that. But the only rumor that caught my eye was the hot rumors floating around Deadpool 3, and that the loose theory is that they're gonna tie a bunch of other older projects with Deadpool kind of potentially popping between universes, and Jessica Alba's name came up, and the actor who played Mr. Fantastic, and possibly the return of Chris Evans to the MCU, but this time as Johnny Storm, with potentially 3 members of the original Fantastic Four. I shouldn't say the original, but the most recent offering of the Fantastic Four showing up in that timeline. And I just kind of thought, well, Jessica Alba, I think, would be welcomed by almost everybody. And a little bit of fan service if they were to go down that route with Chris Evans, but I don't know. Like, is this really what this movie's going to turn into? Because we had that with No Way Home, where we had a couple older characters show up and play into it well, and had a good time with that movie. I don't think they need to copy that recipe one more time.
Kind of did it in Deadpool as well. They just kind of used it as like after credit comical stingers, like when he went and took himself out when he got the Green Lantern script, and he went and took himself out of the X-Men Origins movie and everything. And
it's me.
Yeah. So they've done a little bit of that. So I think a little bit of it is always welcome with that character. But as far as them trying to make it like really any draw of the film, that's a bad idea. It just needs to be like a couple seconds in the film just as a joke.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not really into the nostalgia plays and fan service plays. I don't think it holds up well over time.
Yeah, but Deadpool's a different animal. Let's be honest.
I mean, the only thing with that, though, is like if Deadpool did it, then that would be awesome. But the fact that Deadpool's doing it on the back of what's that, Doctor Strange 2 and No Way Home, it just makes it feel like another clone of those formulas for getting people to show up. And so that's where it doesn't age well, even in Deadpool, if you ask me. If those two things hadn't happened, though, Deadpool would be a knockout for doing it.
Yeah, that was one of my critiques with She-Hulk. If the rest of the MCU universe wasn't so campy and humorous, it would have stood out. But it didn't. It just only thing that stood out was the poor quality of writing at that point. But switching over, because I've talked to you guys about this beforehand, because I definitely want to talk about it. But the AI art that people keep posting all online, where they're having fun with it and everything, and there's obviously, I think we touched on this at some point in something in the not too distant past. But I saw where Boss Logic posted his thoughts and his concerns about it. He's a digital artist, so he's actually somebody who stands to lose a lot from this. And I don't know if y'all went and looked at his post, but he made some very good points about stuff that I wasn't even aware of or even thought about. Ryan, do you want to kind of touch on this? Because I think you probably understood what you read more than I did with that stuff, with some like the legal properties and stuff that go on with it.
I mean, honestly, I haven't kept up with the whole AI thing that much, simply because it's kind of reactionary at the moment. And like, I'm not saying that Boss Logic doesn't have good points and some good plays, but at the end of the day, that's kind of just the way the free market works. And so it is unfortunate. Like, I would much rather this not have to be a conversation at all. But at the same time, like, people were making the same complaints when they were like, hey, look, we could just put robot arms in factories and eliminate millions of jobs for that, you know? And we've seen the rise of AI and other creative endeavors like writing. You know, there's whole companies and whole agencies that just run Jarvis, and you know, they get full blog posts enough to like post a blog to a website every day, which definitely increases their SEO ranking and the amount of business they bring through the doors. You know, so it, to me, honestly, like right now we're in this like very reactionary period where like, look at all the things it could do, but we've seen that with so many other avenues where, you know,
It's a
AI
terrible
has done
comparison.
things.
Yeah, photography did kill painting. How many professional painters are out there doing portraits for families to hang in their house, or are they just taking pictures and putting them up, Taylor? Terrible comparison, but it actually did do what that said. It did kill painting. People don't paint as a profession anymore. They paint as an art form.
Courthouse painters or courthouse sketchers. Pardon me, Mark. You are correct. Pardon me.
That was a terrible comparison. Like his thing was like there's already been a first AI generated comic book, though it was clunky and everything. I think it was the Abolition of Man, if I'm not mistaken. I think Son of Bruce is in there. He commented it previously. I think that's what it was called. And it's real clunky and it requires a lot of prompts still, but just like with a search engine, every day more prompts are being added into these things. And one of Boss Logic's things is he's a digital artist. Like it takes his creativity in him to do it. Now I can do it.
Mm-hmm.
I can do it. He's like, look at someone like John Jang, digital artist heavily. You know, he doesn't just do digital, but heavily digital artist. Like I can do that. Covers, just single images. You know, and he made the point in his post about how people are actually you're already seeing where people are using the AI program to enhance their art to get it to a place where it can actually be sold, and they're not even like kind of citing it. People are kind of getting caught in. I guess as somebody like him who's in that industry fighting to like get your head up, and now you're seeing a program making it where this panel, can actually be on par with someone with skill and creativity who eats off that. You know, that's how he eats.
Carlito.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think there's an impact to it, and you're going to see, you know, people take some hits over it because of what it is. But, you know, I do think there's also a point to be made. Like, we've all looked at covers. I mean, we've sat here and looked at covers and be like, that's quality work. Like, you know, all the models look correct and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't really pop. It doesn't feel like there's a soul to it, you know? Whereas some of our favorite artists are ones that really like drive some emotion through it all, and you like really feel like this image is living in a way. And I do find most of the AI art that I've looked at does feel like it was made by a computer, you know? And it is going to get better. Don't get me wrong. Technology always evolves, but I think there is like a very important like human aspect, like the tiny human errors are kind of what make things what they are, more so than just like being able to present an image in general.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I don't know a lot about the AI art either, but when there is a human doing the art, you can oftentimes see the intent of the artist, okay? What they're trying to do with the art, and what it means to the artist. As opposed to me, AI art is going to be, okay, you know what? If an actual artist is just trying to, you know, give people an idea of what their the house that they grew up in looked like. Okay, that's as opposed to, you can't do that with AI. You're gonna just say, "Give me a nice white house," you know. So there are some differences in the intent, I think, and um, I don't think it will be the end of art, but I'm not an artist, so who knows?
Yeah, and to Taylor's point, painting in the sense of photography is in fact dead. Just like how traveling by horse and carriage is no longer a thing because of motorized vehicles. Some people still use a horse and carriage, but it's not required anymore.
I'm just getting a phone call. What's that? Sorry. Oh, hey, it's Alex Ross. Mark, he wants to have a word with you.
Yeah. Yeah. Exceptions, not the rules.
I'm as someone that can doodle a little bit. I find it interesting to witness all this. I just want to remind everyone, this AI art that seems to be popping up right now, pay attention because technically we're only in its infancy.
Yeah,
Wait
that's what he
till
said in
it
that
gets
post.
better. Wait till it gets a lot better.
Yeah, I
Oh
think
yeah.
it's going to happen really quickly too, because that's one
Yep.
of the things that he mentioned in his post. It was just a month ago. He was on a panel talking about the potential and possibilities of this stuff, and 1 month later, they're already seeing it bleeding into the industry and being
Johnny
problematic.
has my number.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out.
Yeah, I can't see the publishers turning to this to give it a go. Maybe some indies may try to have some fun with it here and there, but I don't know.
I don't think it'll kill art. Like I'm not an
No,
extremist.
no.
Taylor's a Sith. I've learned this about Taylor a long time ago. He only deals in absolutes, and that's why I love Taylor. But yeah, obviously it's not going to kill it. It's going to make big changes though.
No,
Big
and honestly, I think what you'll see more than anything, given a long enough stretch of time, because time is infinite, the timeline is infinite, and so the things that we complain about today, are going to be completely different down the road. Ultimately, what you typically see with this kind of thing is like it, it kind of optimizes the low end of the spectrum, and so you start getting cheaper products, you get more products. They tend to feel a little more generic, but the cream rises to the top, and so you kind of cut out like all of these like lower quality artists, which I'm not saying like, hey, you'd get rid of them because they got to practice to get better anyway, but ultimately what you're going to see is like this big difference in like you're going to pay quality money for quality artwork done by a human, but you could go to a stock image site and pick anything you want that just looks kind of bleh.
Meh.
So yeah, I think over time we'll just see like human art get that much better, but it'll also be that much more expensive to acquire.
I want to see the portrait of Taylor Winder's family he has hanging up in his house that they had to go and get painted to do. Yeah, art is interesting, but to me, art is an expression of a human creativity. You could tell a group of people to draw a vase of flowers, and you'll get a group of various images. I agree, but in terms of applying it to in terms of like the comic industry, because this is a comic channel, you have a publisher that has a deadline that wants something done, and you look at the price of an artist to pay for their creativity, to pay for their expression of your story, or you just do it like that yourself on a program you pay $10 for that covers the cost of whatever you're putting out for however long that program exists. That's where it's going to be interesting to see where it comes into play. No, not infinite, Ryan. If dinosaurs were superior, they would remind us of that.
Hey, some of them still roam the earth. They're just a lot smaller and a lot harder to find.
And they're in Australia and Florida.
Yeah.
And they have feathers.
See, Chris says it is fully dependent on the quantity and quality of descriptors a human being gives the computer. Then the computer pulls from resources to give an approximation. Yeah. The prompts.
In the end, it'll be the human eye that decides whether or not they want to send it to any kind of publishing anyway.
Exactly.
That comment did kind of touch on the edges of what you were asking about, like copyright and all that.
That one?
Yeah. So it pulls from resources to give an approximation. That's where a lot of these artists are alleging their legal battles is, in the sense that like it isn't wholly creating from nothing. It's actually referencing so many, like millions upon millions of different pieces of art to create each little pixel, and so while it looks original, none of it actually is. It's all resourced from somewhere else. And so that's what the artists are kind of like making their legal battle against, is that it's all copyrighted material in the end.
Taylor, pretty sure everyone on the panel is an AI.
So it's never going to replace a person until AI develops imagination. I'm sure that it'll replace a person as soon as it comes in cheaper than a person.
Mm-hmm.
They're not. That's like we live in a money-driven society, not
That's
not
the
an
free
imagine.
market, right?
Yeah.
Well, welcome to capitalism.
Yep.
We are spiritual beings having a human experience. Because of this, I want to see art by humans, not something that operates based on algorithms. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
And then you get, of course, the flip argument to that is it's people that program these algorithms. What is going on, Coco? Laying down watching Home Alone 1. Did y'all watch Home Alone with the kids night before last?
We watched
Amazing
Elf
story.
today.
So me and the kids specifically hit Home Alone and Jingle All the Way, and there's all kinds of stuff on Netflix that they love to watch.
Can you guys guess what I watched today?
The Bruce Willis movie,
Negative.
The Bills.
Die Hard. There we go.
Tyler said here the U.S. used the AI art to draw up a recent trade. That's his only explanation he can make for it.
Baseball?
Yeah, I feel you. We're all Avatar. Speaking of Avatar, I was looking at showtimes for Avatar for next week, and I noticed that there's like multiple different ways to watch this movie. You have the standard movie experience, whatever, depending on like big screen, little screen, whatever, or you have the 3D option. But separate from both of those things is that high frame rate one. So it's an actual separate majigger bob on its own accord.
Wow.
So I didn't know that. I thought like all of them were going to be. So I guess it has something to do. They had to like don't have the cameras to push it all out or something like that. I don't know. If the ticket prices are different, I didn't get that.
It's not IMAX.
Well, you can watch it in IMAX. So like
Yep.
you're gonna have to pay attention to what tickets you pick up because you can watch the regular just 2D in IMAX. You can watch the 3D in IMAX depending on the time, of course, or you can watch the high frame rate 3D because standard film is 24 frames per second. This has a 48 frames per second option to it. So that's like all right, here we go. Jeff says high frame rate costs more, so those showings are only going to be in the large screen. So the high frame rate for Thursday at the Riverwatch is not in their largest screen. I mean, there's multiple different size screens in all theaters. You have the IMAX or the GTX is what some of them here have, their grand theater experience, and then you have just the bigger screens. But it wasn't listed for the GTX at the Riverwatch. It was just a screen.
Can I watch it in AI?
Yeah.
I was gonna say the comments on this topic on the back of the last topic are just absolutely grand.
Right.
Yeah.
Will win next month's Legion Loot Box. Calling it now. Avatar will kill traditional movie making. I hope so. I hope they start making them better.
I think
it's pretty much a synonym for humdinger.
Yeah.
Pretty much a synonym for humdinger.
I'm thinking majig.
Widget.
How long has it taken James Gunn to craft this film?
God, his whole life because he didn't even do it.
Like 15 years he's been working on this?
Cameron?
Yeah.
I think it's 13 years. You said Gunn, but I think it's 13 years since the last one, right? Is that right?
Something like that, yeah.
That's almost a tragedy because he was producing such high quality film after film after film, and then I get that the first Avatar was something incredible and monumental in filmmaking. I didn't necessarily enjoy the film plot wise.
Yeah.
And now he's taken all this time to work on its sequel. We could have had one or two James Cameron worthy films during that period of time that this is taken to come out.
That's a good point.
And at this belly flops, as someone that's a fan of Titanic and Terminator and Terminator 2, and like it didn't take all this long to make Terminator 2, and that was cutting edge special effects in its day when it first came out. And Mark still says it's the greatest action movie ever made.
Terminator
I just realized
it is.
We've gone a long time without James Cameron directing some very special films, because almost everything he does, even The Abyss, he produces such great films, and this movie has taken away all of that time. Much like Scorsese once said, I wonder if Star Wars wasn't the hit that it was, what type of film we would have had from George Lucas.
I'm with Tyler on this one. A brilliant filmmaker plus groundbreaking CGI equals crap. I don't follow the anti.
Okay, I'll give everyone here the plot. What's going to happen? The traitor to the human race and the traitor to the planet Earth is going to go up against his own older people and humans in a war, and hopefully gets his ass kicked. Screw that blue bastard. Move on. tie into every animal and every living thing. Like, come on. Like, come on.
Well, it was
I
2009.
gotta plug this into my arm and
was the first one, but they filmed 2 and 3 together, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken, right? They filmed both of them,
Yeah, they Richard Donnered it.
right?
I'm looking forward to
that
it.
reference. And it was recently the anniversary of Donner's Superman.
It was it 44 years?
Yeah.
Yesterday, right?
Yeah.
Was it yesterday?
That was monumental filmmaking.
Mhm.
You just described AI by Spielberg. I
But
like how
they said
Taylor
that-
brought it all
they-
the way back around with that one. Great.
But they did say the same thing, right? When they moved from film, right? When they stopped filming on film
Moved to
digital, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, it's true that the main character is a traitor to the human race for a blue check. That's it.
To the human race, was that the human race there? Was that
he turned his back on mankind and the planet.
I'm fairly certain
to say enough of the human race just because I'm in a wheelchair. I'm going to go with this crowd now.
He turned his back on a mining corporation and a group of hired guns, not the human race. There were the human race.
He could have
represented there.
Hopped back in his wheelchair
and
zoom back to the planet Earth. But no,
Giovanni
he even walked away from his own body. Enough of this. I don't want anything to do with humans whatsoever. I'm going to go with these people now and be one of them. Pretend to be one of them.
Actually, the director of Deadpool did Terminator Dark Fate, and James Cameron would pop in and try to give his 2 cents, and you had a hodgepodge of creative differences just really rail that movie. The director of Terminator Dark Fate said he would never work on the Terminator franchise again if James Gunn is attached to it, because neither one of them, they both wanted to do their own thing, and you can't do that together. It was like a Venom thing with Al Ewing and Rom V. You can't. It doesn't work like that all the time.
It only works if your last name is Russo, apparently.
Yeah, well, they're brothers. That makes more sense. You know what I mean? Like Farley brothers did the comedy movies that were so great forever. It seems like when brothers or siblings get together, you had the Wachowski siblings that brought us The Matrix. I mean, when siblings get together, there's just a different connection than two random people that didn't know each other before the project. Talk about wasted energy and all the time he took to develop Avatar 2. We could have had a solid 3, maybe 4 Alita Battle Angel sequels. And those are Robert Rodriguez that make those. So I don't know how people are attaching.
Cameron produced them, I believe, Mark.
Yeah, dude, Alita Battle Angel is a 9 out of 10 for me. That movie is just next level good on every level. I love that movie. That would be great to get more of those. Me and my wife, when that first came out, we didn't go see it on the big screen, but we were on vacation and we bought it on digital and watched it. And dude, I immediately went and got it. I'm like, this is amazing. So that meets Ferngully. Exactly. Yeah. I'm a big Ferngully fan too. I grew up loving it.
Ferngully was good.
Yeah, my kids watched it 1,000 times already.
Was Robin Williams in that one? Did he voice a character?
Yeah, he played Batty. Yeah, he played Batty.
Yeah.
Let's see. Last one from Tyler. Many people who accuse Mark of hating MCU stuff before it comes out or hating on Avatar 2 before it comes out.
Well, that would be me.
Boom.
Any of them. Well, not the little ones.
I've got those 2 that are not little.
But yeah, I just wonder, like, because this Avatar has taken so much time away from other potential projects that he could have done. Everything he touched, like since like Aliens 2 on, has been so good.
Dude.
Yeah, see,
Everything
traitor. That's traitor.
So what else is there to hit on tonight?
As far as news,
Not really a lot.
There's anything.
And entertainment news, especially as we get closer toward the holidays, the next couple of weeks is going to be very little, probably.
That's perfect because I think we only have one more show this month. This is our second show of the month, and then next week we'll be at year's end, and we'll be doing a spoiler-filled look back on this year in comics, movies, and more. And we're all going to be hitting massive top 3 lists. We're going to be doing top 3 lists across the board. Favorite top 3 stories from DC, Marvel, indie books, favorite single issues of the year, favorite movies, shows. whatever. We're just going to do a loose format to it. So if you're watching, come by, stop by, come hang out, bring whatever top 3 you can think of for whatever you want to talk about. We'll hit on that too. We'll just have fun, relaxing, looking back on everything. It's probably going to be about the same size of moderate week for comics. December's not crazy with drops, but we'll still review whatever comes out that week. But yeah, it'll be a fun show. I'm looking forward to it. So the final Sunday of the year is on Christmas Day, so I'm not even going to attempt to try to carve out time. Hopefully there's not a chance in hell I have time. Hopefully I'm spending it with my family or recovering from running dogs and running around town all day.
As everyone should.
Oh yeah, the Pinocchio stop motion. I'm probably going to watch that tonight. Guillermo del Toro's new claymation Pinocchio film dropped today. Not only did it drop on Netflix, but there's a 30-minute special feature that they dropped separately on there, so you can watch the film, then go back and watch. Kyle, what did he call it? What was the little tagline to that Pinocchio special that you read? Like the real crafting, real something.
The handcrafted.
Yeah, the handcrafted, real
Wood
something.
crafted
Yeah,
or
wood crafted. So yeah, it's like all about the stop motion effects of it and all that. Which stop motion effects is awesome and perfect timing to release it too at Christmas time, because when I think stop motion, I immediately think of King Kong, and then after that it goes straight to Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. That sounds goofy, but it is what it is.
Island of Misfit Toys.
Yes,
holds
sir.
A special place in my heart.
Cornelius.
Although I think if you watch the Pinocchio movie on Disney Plus, you may still have a bad taste in your mouth.
Yeah, don't watch that. Go watch the Guillermo del Toro one. The designs and everything for it is just awesome.
That's a good.
Absolutely. Oh, Taylor, I'm not arguing with you on there. Absolutely. I think painting has more soul than photography. If you ask Indians, the photography steals your soul. So you're absolutely right, Taylor. I agree with you. Photography steals people's soul.
What's your favorite Guillermo del Toro offering?
Mine?
Yeah.
Well, you got
Hellboy.
Blade 2 and Hellboy 2, which are like
The Golden Army.
hard to compare those like Pan's Labyrinth. They're hard to. Yeah, the Golden Army was fire, but the Pan's Labyrinth, Shape of Water was amazing. Like
Pan's
he doesn't
Labyrinth,
really do bad
that
stuff.
monster with the eyes in her palms.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a master.
And then he produced that one with the little tooth fairies under the stairs. God, what was the name of that one? And yeah, and there was also one with Loki in it not long ago. It's like some haunted house one. I started watching it and I didn't get back around to finishing it.
Hmm.
Yeah, there was one that Charlie Hunnam was in one as well. But yeah, his stuff is so good. But yeah, Hellboy 2 and Pan's Labyrinth. My goodness.
So Prince Nuwata from Hellboy 2 is the same actor who played Nomak in Blade 2. The bad guy from Blade 2 and Hellboy 2 is the same phenomenal stunt choreographer, actor.
Swordsman. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
he's really good. Yeah,
Hellboy 2.
Cabinet of Curiosities.
That's it.
That's awesome. So that's the one that he's just he's bringing all these short stories to light with all these newer directors, and he's using it to showcase them. But Cabinet of Curiosities is really
Crimson
really cool.
Peak. That was it.
That's
one
it.
Yeah, Charlie Hunnam was in that. Yeah.
Crimson Peak. So the Cabinet of Curiosities is just an anthology, and every time he introduces the story and tells you what the stories are going to be about, and it is directed by. And he always has like a little statue carved of the director that he puts down, and it focuses on it and says the name of the story. It's really cool getting those old school introductions like that. Carlito, are you talking about The Shape of Water or Tyler riding an ostrich? And back to Carlito's point, he's not a fan of bestiality. Is that riding an ostrich thing? Is that what is that? Letterkenny? Y'all ever watch Letterkenny?
Mm-hmm.
The reoccurring ostrich conversation.
Yeah.
Y'all want to review some books? There was a
That's how us Canadians communicate all the time.
with ostriches.
Just random ostrich conversations pop up.
Oh, you gotta watch.
Why
that
wouldn't you?
shit. Yeah.
Down here, it's cows.
I thought it was goats down here. So y'all ready to talk some books, review some books? We're almost an hour. I don't have a lot. I've got 6 titles I picked up this week. I have read all 6 of them. I'm super proud of myself. And most importantly, like we all probably read it, and it's no doubt it's probably most of our read of the week, if not all of our read of the week. But Do a Power Bomb wrapped up this week, so let's talk that. I've got Punisher, Ghost Rider, Dark Crisis one shot, Batman proper, and then the Deadly Duo book is the 6 that I've got. So whatever y'all want to jump on. Chris, I don't know how long we got you for, so you take off if you want to review a book first. Doesn't matter if we read it.
If collectively the 4 of us want to talk about Do a Power Bomb, I'll stick around for that. But yeah, 4 o'clock is going to come pretty quick in my neck of the woods.
5 o'clock's right behind it.
That's right.
Yeah. Time works different in Canada.
Yeah.
They're closer to the
time is
pole or
relative,
something.
sir.
Yeah, Doug Jones also played Abe Sapien. Doug Jones plays in a lot of cool stuff. He played Abe Sapien, and he played the creature in Shape of Water. Guillermo reuses a lot of actors. I love when actors, you can kind of see the groups that travel with actors to their projects.
Even Pacific Rim, he brought in Ron Perlman for that as well.
Mm-hmm. Charlie Hunnam.
Yep. Yeah, he's faithful to his core of actors.
Mm-hmm.
Like so many great directors.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, Do a Power Bomb number 7. Daniel Warren Johnson's masterpiece of the year. 7 issues, and you're in and out. It's a 1 volume, one and done thing. It's kind of his style. This was the big finale. We had Cobra Sun and Steel facing off against none other than the Alpha and the Omega, the creator of the universe, with a capital G, God himself, for the fate of their mother. It was wild. It was fun. It was really cool. It went exactly how I expected it to go. Just waiting for the end to see how that would go. Like the match was, we talked about it, we caught it. Like we said it when we reviewed issue 6, and we were spot on with that. But the end, man, it was beautiful. I got a little tear in my eye. I'm like, man, that was just right in the feels. So, what did you guys think? Highs, lows, if there are any.
Just
I'll be honest, I didn't get a chance to read it because it's arriving this week.
Right.
But that's okay.
You're gonna make this hard to talk about.
In one of the earlier issues, Ryan really spoke about how Johnson can do a single, he can craft an image from just one perspective and keep everything in motion and keep everything relative to the narrative he's trying to talk about with it, just in the one shot. And he does it again and again and again in this issue. It just doesn't stop. Like, his artwork is definitely his own style. It's 100% him. You can look through this, you can look through Beta Ray Bill and Murder Falcon, and you can tell it's him 100%. But
Ace Mullet.
This particular book, in my opinion, of the run, has the least amount of dialogue, but some of the best storytelling in it whatsoever, because of the highs and the lows of the match itself is incredible to witness. And like the battle for the soul is like, I got to keep reminding myself, well, wrestling is scripted, but my God, there's nothing scripted going on in this story. Like they're literally battling each other, but they're using wrestling moves to make it happen inside the squared circle.
What you just said there is actually one of the big tells that hit me in the gut. That soulful conversation that happens at the end when God does something very nice for that little girl. Mm-hmm. And you see this soulful conversation that you saw touched on in issue 1. You kind of get the rest of that conversation. And she actually makes that comment that even though it's scripted and we know the outcome, that changed the entire context again for issue number 1. Once again, like I just got chills again, because keep in mind in issue number 1, that little girl was sitting there on the outside of the ring watching her mom wrestle, screaming and cheering and yelling like her mom's life depended on it, but she knew, she was an insider into the business in that aspect, at least for her age. So it's just crazy how many like little levels there are to that kind of stuff. So that really hit me. That whole last conversation hit me. I'm like, man, you can tell this guy just had a kid recently. because he did. That's why he got into wrestling. If you remember reading the writer's notes at the end of issue 1, he says this book is here because when he was getting up at night, swapping out with his wife to get the baby, when the baby wakes up and feed the baby, he needed something new to watch, and he got back into wrestling. So you can see all like those things as a parent coming through so strong in this. The wrestling fan comes in so strong, like how intentional he is with their movement and everything, and the way that he can just bring that kinetic energy into these fights. You are there. You are feeling every hit. Like you wince for them when they take hits. It's impressive. I was really impressed with this whole thing.
Yeah. I mean, just on the like wrestling pages, the wrestling moves and pages themselves of this series, like I think I'm the only person here that's not really into wrestling. And for me, like you can feel it. And this is more enjoyable than wrestling in that sense. Like I really feel the moves a lot more just through his artwork, and his style than I do like watching on TV. And it just made it like so visceral. Like reading this story all the way through is like you feel every move and like you feel every bit of tension. And I'm like sitting there, like my heart just like palpitating as I'm like turning the page, looking like what's going to happen next. Like what's going to happen when they land on those tables, like very concerned for them. Whereas I'd never really felt that through the TV, so I think he really brings an extra level to whatever he does,
Yeah, well, I'm not going to talk on the end of the book because Paul hasn't read it.
No, go ahead. Don't worry. About
No,
it.
I'll
Then don't.
Paul, these two gentlemen saved We Live for me, and that book.
There's some books I mentioned.
I'm not ruining a story for you. There's some. This is the finale to a story. This is it. So I'm not going to ruin it.
It's not the end of an issue. It's the end of a saga.
This is its conclusion.
Yeah, we'll be back again next week, and we can talk about how we actually touch on a little bit more. No biggie.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be on everyone's.
It will end up on a lot of. Yeah, I'm gonna say I have a feeling it'll be on a lot of people's top 3 lists.
Yeah, we'll be talking about it next week for sure. For sure.
Just the whole idea. Okay, we're gonna wrestle God. I'm like, I don't know about this. Todd McFarlane tried it in Spawn. It didn't work out well, in my opinion. And
Spawn didn't have the heart that these two had.
But what God does, yeah. This book now cements its place as the best of 2022 for me.
To Taylor's point too, like when Jurassic League was coming out, before we had the full details of how it was really Juan Gideon's story, that's actually what made it so exciting. The most exciting part was, Daniel Warren Johnson's writing a JLA book where they're dinosaurs. I can't wait to see how he makes me forget they're dinosaurs and makes me cry before it's over. And then we get there and they honey-dicked us with his covers. And it worked. I read that whole series because once I'm in. It's only 6 issues.
Hey, that's one of those things I hate, and I've read all of it. So.
Yeah, I don't regret it. And, and looking forward to it. I'm glad I did because they're actually going to be making an appearance in Price of one-shots.
Yeah, it wasn't that good.
Is Daniel Warren Johnson doing those?
I hope he's doing the cover.
The pacing was all over the place.
Something really interesting. If you've read any of their miniseries over the last year, like Dark Knights of Steel, Jurassic League, there's a couple other ones that I can't remember. One of the Dark Crisis one-shots that they're doing, how they've done very few, but one of them, we're going to check out the multiverse and how those worlds are doing in the midst of Dark Crisis. So it'll be fun. So like if you've read Dark Knights of Steel, you might want to pick it up just to see. It's not going to affect the story over there or anything like that. It's going to be self-contained, but I'm looking forward to that. I picked up when I read the list a week or so ago, I'm like, I read 3 of those, I think. There's like 4 stories in it or something like that. But yeah. Oh man, Dead Man by Daniel Warren Johnson. That would be fire.
I think anyone doing Dead Man right now would be great. Like how many? That's a character that needs to be
from 0 to 1. That's a huge jump.
Yeah. Yeah, Paul. We're not going to increase. Talk about that. Yeah, these guys saved We Live for me and waited months.
The demon, that would be good.
We had no problem waiting a week.
Yeah, that's when we really set the tone. Like if something's just straight fire like that. Like it ain't worth spoiling for nobody. I don't think we ever like fully reviewed We Live on the channel. Did we just do that when we actually had the Miranda brothers on?
Well, I tiered my way through it.
Yeah, I think because it took you a while to get because you picked up the trade volume first, right? Yeah. So yeah, we waited a long
And then
while.
there were rules for me reading it.
Yeah. Don't just power through that bad boy. Let it simmer. Take a
break.
Day, take a day or a couple hours in between because the book itself, there's time in between each issue. You needed the full.
Dead Man movie directed by Del Toro set in the future with AI.
There
you go.
Yeah, that would be good. You're still wanting that Demon Constantine story.
How can I make that work? Daniel
Not just even have to do the artwork.
The fact that ridiculously lame Blue Beetle book just dropped last week gives me hope for Dead Man Constantine because this year was the second year they did their round robin voting for the fans to pick the story. Well, that stupid Blue Beetle book was from a loser from round robin the year before that they're like, well, we got a Blue Beetle come in. This is already made. We don't, let's put it out there. So maybe.
Yeah, I feel like there's no way to let at least a majority of those pitches die. I mean, a lot of them are really good. It's just I got to vote for the one I like the most.
4 of them for this year were issue 1s are done.
Yeah.
They completely did an issue 1. I want the Suicide Squad Dark after reading all the little things. Yeah. Like, like, dude, and they even blacked out stuff. They're like, yeah, if you actually want to see what violent action is happening in this silhouette, you're going to have to actually get the book so we could put a mature reader on it. That looked cool. Yeah. That's some cool stuff. Speaking of mature reader, this book continues to slap.
Yes.
Next level good. Issue 8 of Punisher. You out, man?
No.
You're not reading Punisher?
Yeah, I'm gonna go listen to you guys in bed.
Marvel puts out good books and he dodges them.
Yeah.
Easy. I'm looking forward to everyone's take on
Marvel. Where are you going? I got Marvel. I did it.
The irony. Good night, everybody.
I'm doing my part. All right, good night. No, I'm lucky in the sense that my 2 favorite Marvel books drop on the same week at this point. And this has bounced back. We had that weird couple issues there where I'm like, what? But this has bounced back, and the next issue is actually the finale to this story arc.
So it's not just a Nightwing copy anymore?
No, God, that was insane.
I was going to ask if Nightwing won this Ghost Rider race.
Now, in all fairness, I would need what's his name to come back in here and really just let me know because I wasn't even aware of that. But yeah, Punisher issue number 8 came out this week. This is the second to last issue of the big battle between the God of War Ares and the Fist of the Beast, none other than Frank Castle himself. This story has been really cool. The artwork is stellar. I love the way that each of these individual issues are crafted where they're slow burning our main plot, but they're adding so much context, not just to the plot and what's happening, but to the individual characters in the book, primarily Castle and his wife. And they're really seeding in this whole Fist of the Beast thing deep into his past. And I don't know, there's some really heavy emotional family type stuff. And you're like, it is really, really heavy, but great issue. The next issue is going to be an all-out battle. It's going to be the big finale, the big fight between the 2 gods of war. And then we'll get to see Frank destroy the Hand.
Yeah.
It's inevitable.
They stand no chance. I don't know what their plan is here, but yeah.
Paul, have you been reading Punisher at all?
I have not.
All right. Ryan, what do you think of this issue?
Oh, it was fire, dude. What's great is you love Frank Castle, right? He's a lovable bad guy. And then in this issue, they take him to therapy, and I felt myself really, man? Come on. Even I can empathize with your wife at this point. So he's in therapy, and they're like, you're a soldier, right? And he's like, no.
Marine.
He's like, soldiers are Army. I'm not Army. I'm a Marine. I'm like, come on, man. Really, dude? You're kind of being a D-bag here. But, it's so good, the way that they play all the, combat It's extremely brutal. The politics within the hand are absolutely phenomenal. As you see him like getting more and more powerful, he's developed 4 of the 5 gifts of the beast.
Little attributes.
Yeah, and so he's like at this
He has
point.
like energy. He's got like the raging eyes.
Yeah, like whenever he steps out at the end, dude, he's got like the flaming fists and the Punisher logo is red as well. I was like, oh, like we're going there. All right. So yeah, I really enjoyed this issue. I thought it gave great context um, to his relationship and like his past with Maria. You know, like definitely knew where we were going with the trip to the park, and that did not go where I thought it was going to go. So I was like, all right, so like there's still more to this whole like family story here, you know, because basically, you know, we've seen him in the park we've seen his family get killed in almost every issue in the park, and so then this issue they like go to the park, you know, after he's kind of like,
nuts. I was like, up here it goes. Nope.
no, we're just gonna go back home now. I was like, what? And then when she comes downstairs at night and he's like got the shotgun and they use like the power of the shotgun to kind of represent like the control he has over his life as he gives it up, you know, I was like, whoa, like this is such a great scene, you know, it's just well set up. But yeah, I really enjoyed this issue. It continues to progress his story and what we're dealing with here, but at the same time, it's just like giving us so much in every other aspect of his relationship to the world.
Yep, and it added so much to Maria because man, I don't feel like his dead wife is going to make it through this. She's not
No.
she's not leaving these grounds, and he can't stay there.
Nah,
The
but she's
magic,
ready.
he's about to burn down the magic that keeps her alive. But it gave a lot of insight to like that relationship between him coming home from war and being changed from it, and her like kind of love for him, and like the struggle he's going through to reciprocate that love. It was pretty powerful stuff. Especially
Yeah,
single issue monthly comic book. That was super strong issue.
yeah, it was really good.
Do you guys read the finale to the Failsafe saga in Batman issue number 130?
I did not.
All right, well, Paul, take off. What'd you think?
I thought it was a pretty good way to end it. It's, I mean,
That ending,
it was the end of
ending
it was,
was wild.
yeah. I mean, it was the end of the failsafe part, but it certainly is not. There's less to explain come next issue, that's for sure. Um, Basically, Batman, who is stuck in space, basically 240,000 miles above the Earth. He finds a way using his grappling gun, the gas in his grappling gun, to basically, point himself towards Earth. Um, so he comes
And
back to Earth.
re-enters Earth from space, like
Right.
re-enters Earth with nothing but his suit on.
Correct.
His regular Batman suit. He just couldn't. Yes, Ryan. Yes.
All right.
My dude, I'm not joking. No parachute, no protection. He's just like, it's got to cover my face. They did do that one line little power of the plot. Well, I know my suit can take the heat. I just have to protect my face.
Right.
Let's go.
Exactly. Nothing about the fact that he was when he was in space and he was wearing the oxygen mask, that his eyes would freeze. Because he didn't have anything over his eyes. But he basically comes back to Earth. He lands basically again in the Arctic, which is where the Fortress of Solitude is. He goes. He sees Superman and Tim. Failsafe knows where he is. He comes for him. Superman has basically recovered, but not enough because Failsafe has this kryptonite sword that he uses against him. Batman devises a plan that he basically was able to open up something in the back of Failsafe that if he can put in like a
Virus. Empathy virus.
Yeah, the empathy virus, right? That will stop him somehow. And basically, there's this one panel where Batman and Tim Drake, Robin get together and say we're gonna go get him together because Failsafe, can defeat Batman, but he can't defeat Batman and Robin.
Then he backhands them in one panel. Yes, I can.
Yeah, exactly.
Wasn't
The
that
next
like
thing
the
you
first issue with Failsafe where he just took out the whole Bat family?
Right.
But Batman and Robin.
Right.
It
So
didn't pan out for him.
Right. And so they go at each other. Batman manages to put the program into Failsafe, but Failsafe still shoots Batman right in the chest. And Robin says, what about the compassion? And Failsafe says that was compassion.
Yeah. So he doesn't just shoot him with a gun; he incinerates him. He's just a smoldering
Right.
pile of ash. That's how the
Right.
book ends.
Right.
And Failsafe is done. So Failsafe, like, did he self-destruct? Did he shut down? Did he burn himself down? He's gone though.
Yeah.
Let me guess. It doesn't matter how he's gone as long as he's gone.
He's gone. You can be gone and come back, but he's gone.
No.
Who, Failsafe?
Right?
No, Failsafe takes off. He
takes
flies
off. I thought he burned himself out or something.
Nope. No,
Oh, great. So now he's just out there
that
waiting
pile
to
of
come
ashes and everything was for
dismantle
Superman
Batman
and
again.
Batman
Only
was.
one gone. Correction. So Failsafe can return. So Batman lost.
Comics
the Failsafe.
are weird.
He lost the
Right.
Failsafe saga big time. So Batman
Right.
you did get like one little snippet. The very last thing, it cuts to this image of him laying in an alley bleeding.
Right.
But it's
So-
weird because if you turn the page back one page, he looks like that.
Right. You can see where on the other page you can see where Failsafe takes off, but they do it repeat over and over, end program. So you are led to believe that Failsafe is gone, but we
And he
don't see
turns
him
blue
actually.
also
Yeah.
instead of
Ooh,
red.
It's Failsafe red and blue.
Yay! So you see that. But yeah, like Paul
That's
said, he's
just
only
what we
one
need.
gone. He's only one gone. So I
Right.
assume the moment Batman reappears, wouldn't Failsafe just have to come right back?
You would think
There was
so.
a cool fight scene between Superman and Failsafe again. Superman threw some like little Fortress of Solitude armor on and came out there and just kind of bought Batman some time. But it was fun. It's action packed. I think Ryan, you talked about Chip Zdarsky's plan for his time on this title, right? Like his story goal. What you said he's not trying to do long.
No,
game.
yeah. Basically, he's just trying to write good stories, but he doesn't have some master plan. He's not building up to some big deal thing. Like he's basically occupying the title with quality until, what were his words? Like some young hot writer comes along that they need to keep, so they give him a marquee title. He's like, maybe I'll be on the title until next week. Maybe I'll be on the title until 6 years from now. Who knows? But he's basically just trying to give quality stories while he's there without like building some master plan to last forever, Which means there's probably another arc he has planned out after this, like 4 issues at a time, basically, or something.
Yeah, it was a serviceable story. It was enjoyable,
yeah.
but it definitely is not to the depth of anything that's being done in Detective. That's for certain.
Yes, heck, yeah, he sure did. we covered that immediately. Like Ryan didn't read it. He re-entered Earth in his regular bat suit and just landed on his feet.
On YouTube all week, there's been this short thumbnail that says like Batman falls from the moon or something, and I was like, wonder when this happened, but I'm not willing to click on the video because it sounds stupid. So you guys told me, and apparently it was this week.
Right. Which is funny too, because today the Artemis came back to Earth, right? The Artemis rocket, and it re-entered, and it was 5,000 degrees at re-entering, which is half the temperature of the sun. So that's what Batman did coming back, half the temperature of the sun coming back into Earth.
That's just a regular night for him.
Yeah, exactly.
But he covered his fine. He did this. He's fine.
Yeah. You are mad.
Oh my god, this is. You know what? Honestly, I'm glad I quit reading.
Didn't he like rip his cape and put it over his face?
No, because he needed his cape. If you remember,
to glide down.
If you remember, they went through all the physics. Mark, you weren't keeping up.
He needed his cape for the spines in the cape that would direct him to where he needed to be.
Oh my gosh, I got to see what he put over his face. I can't. It was all the time reading like, what is happening?
Chip Zdarsky, reporter or
Mr.
journalist, comic book
Science.
writer,
Oh,
astrophysicist.
even better. I shit you not. He used his trunks.
Right.
He took his trunks off. That's why
Yep.
superheroes wear underwear on the outside. He literally took his
It's a
underwear off,
utility.
put it on his face.
Right.
You go,
Man.
Batman. That was something. Like while I'm reading that, I'm like, Chip is he's messing with us, isn't he? He's messing with us right now. Anyone else read Ghost Rider?
No.
All right, so it's fun. It's good. Getting the bad guys lining up who've been appearing. This was another one of those like episodic feeling ones. When you see like the connectivity tissue of what came before, so it was kind of building out to this big final issue. He's like with his little sidekick, this Talia girl who's like, I don't know, she's into magic stuff, was working with that FBI action who she splintered off, and she's kind of rocking with Johnny for a couple issues here. And they made it to Chicago, and he's kind of back on the thing. Like I just naturally get pointed in a direction, like Ghost Rider inside me is kind of like a compass. Like I kind of just travel, and I just tend to end up in the places where this stuff is happening because he steers me there. And they got to Chicago where like this massive, horrible slaughtering of people in mass is happening. It kind of calls back to how Chicago used to be like the animal industry slaughter capital of America, and how like the roads and the infrastructure is built for it and everything. And now these demons are using it all over again, but for people. So you got that cool little thing to it and everything. It was just a fun single issue. And the next issue is supposed to be fighting off with Blackheart, and this character you see on the cover, Exhaust. Bjorn Barons has taken over the covers for this title. It was Kale New, which were dope, but Bjorn Barons I feel like is made for characters like Ghost Rider, Spawn, stuff like that more horror style stuff. But yeah, I'm enjoying Ghost Rider still, staying on the pull list. Yeah,
I'm glad to hear that's back up to snuff, because it was insufferable to listen to you talk about a title that you were reading and not enjoying.
Yeah, but that's why I hang in there, because it bounced back. I hung in there for a long time with Iron Man. I
remember.
It's just the story arc, you know what I mean? And I still don't understand why that stupid race in the desert even happened. Granted, the bad guys are still. You remember where the race was going? That mountain shaped like that was in Nightwing. That's where the bad guys are still at. Like they're all out there in the desert at that Hell's Peak point and everything. That's where they're gathering safely, and because it's a hell on earth type place. So still doesn't make the motorcycle race make any sense at all whatsoever. But yeah, we'll see. It's cool. This Exhaust character is going to meet up with Johnny, and he made it to him at the end. He pulled up. Johnny fired up an entire train because there's like this old defunct railroad, underground railroad that was being used to shuttle people to their slaughter. And Ghost Rider like jumped on board and fired up the whole train and pulled into the slaughterhouse with a train, like fires up any vehicle. So that's cool. I always like seeing him do stuff like that, like a big Mack truck or just something other than his motorcycle. He grabbed a chainsaw, fired it up, and started just demolishing people. It's wild. Some cool stuff.
Interesting.
Anyone grab Frank Miller's Pandora? I did not. Isn't that older?
I did not.
Isn't that old?
I don't know anything about it.
I don't know. Yeah, he put it over his face. Them things were sweaty. Had to be.
We talked about that trailer last week. Or is there a new trailer for it?
No, same trailer. I'm very excited. Yeah. Very, very, very excited for Rise of the Beast. I love the Transformer movies. I never watched the cartoons like that. Caught random episodes here and there. Didn't read the comics. Played with the toys growing up, at least the ones from my era, which were in fact Beast Wars. That's what was coming on when I was a kid. So this is kind of playing to my childhood now instead of like the generation before me. But I've said it 1,000 times. I'll say it 1,000 more. I'm a huge Michael Bay fan when it comes to making movies. I love his movies. So I enjoyed the whole franchise for Transformers. I think this will be fun. What is going on? Yeah, we hit do a power bomb, but we didn't hit the ending because Paul's copy comes in by mail. So next week we're going to go in more depth on it. But absolutely loved it. Kind of just touched on the very most basics of it.
Summary, we loved it.
Ron, what else did you read this week? I've got these two.
That's all you got left?
All I got left. There's only 6 books this week. I did pick up a bag, but it was just a random buy.
Kaya number 3 was out this week. It was phenomenal. Really good stuff. This one actually, the first 2 issues were kind of like episodic in that they were self-contained. This 3rd issue kind of is a to be continued, so it looks like we are getting some more like longer form storytelling, although I think it's only going to be like 2 issues. So it's still like just like a ton of fun with a lot of heart to it. Kind of reminds me of We Live in the specific sense that like the earth has been decimated and you have like this brother sister kind of on a journey across this destroyed wasteland. So you have like this real tight familial bond and like characters that are responsible above their age level kind of thing. So it's really cool in that respect. I'm really enjoying it. Great book. So check that one out. Neither of y'all read Gargoyles?
No, I saw it on the shelf. I'm like, no, I'm just going to live with the cartoon.
This issue, like, it's definitely built for like, it's definitely built for people that are already fans of the property, in the sense that like it's well done, but it seems like it's geared towards somebody like me, right? So I watched the show whenever it was coming out, loved it. I couldn't tell you exactly how it ends or like what all happened throughout the show. I mostly remember the feelings it left me with. And so this issue is literally just like, hey, here's basically like the end of, like, it's not saying like here's the end of the series. It's like basically introducing every character where they were at the end of the series and like all the extra characters that were added throughout the series. But it's pretty like exposition dumpy in that it's just kind of like, here we are, and this is who we are, and this is what happened, and this is how we got here, and now these are all the characters, meet them all, boom, 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 and you're done. It is pretty good, but I definitely couldn't see somebody that's not a fan of the property sticking around beyond, like, even halfway through that issue. So that being said, like, I am interested to see what the 2nd issue is going to be, and if that one starts to get more into the fun of that world and all that. But this one felt very appropriate for what it is as well, because there's like 967 covers or something for it. And so the first issue is like, why put content in this? The only people buying it are cover buyers. So we'll save all the content for the next issue. So it felt appropriate for what it is.
What age range you feel like they're really targeting or making it accessible to? How young?
I mean, again,
like, that's like doing like Power Rangers. Like, you think little kids, but you read a Power Ranger book, it's heavy. That's not
yeah. I definitely think this is going to be targeting more our age and like people that grew up with the cartoon and now are older, much like Power Rangers did, right? It took all the feelings from the show, but made a comic that reads the way you envisioned everything that you saw on TV. There is like some vocabulary that's probably above, teenager level, so definitely writing more toward an older audience. Also, there's like a lot of couples and children of these couples. So it does seem like there's a time gap since the end of the show. And so I think they talk about snogging a lot. I wouldn't say a lot, but a couple of times it comes up, and stuff like that. So I definitely think it's more geared toward people like us that kind of like grew up with the cartoon and now years later are returning to this property.
I didn't realize that in the first Gargoyle series that they did, that was some of Amanda Conner's first work in comics.
No. Did not. No.
I didn't even know that they did a first Gargoyle comic series.
Yeah, they're actually, Dynamite is going to do a reprint of a facsimile issue of the original Gargoyles #1. I think it's in February or March.
I knew there was.
Does this pick up where the comics are or from the show?
I'm not sure, to be honest with you. I never watched the Gargoyle show, so I really couldn't tell you where anything was.
Yeah, it's creator, Greg right? Wiseman or whatever, which I believe is the original creator.
Right, he was one of the producers on it, I think.
Yeah. Which, from what I understand, I don't know. Like, I know he presented a Bronx is there. I know they presented and they were intending to do like a revival of the Gargoyles series on Disney Plus, now that that's a thing. But we've also seen all the turmoil it's gone through, and then this comic series came up. So I'm not sure if they're even still doing that, and this is going to be supplemental material, or if the show's not going through because Disney Plus can't get their stuff together, so they canceled that. And he's like, well, I'm going to take all that material and do a comic series. Like, I don't know what exactly is going on with all of it. But I can tell you this comic series, this first issue definitely picked up on the, years later after the end of something else.
Huh. I remember them talking about doing the show, bringing the show back. And then, that was a while back. They started talking about that. Nothing ever came of it.
Yeah, that was like 3 or 4 years ago at this point. Maybe 2 years minimum.
Norrin said that the original writers were great writers. So next up, we have Dark Crisis. We had a one-shot called Warzone. It gave us 5 individual stories across the battlefield that we saw in issue 6 of Dark Crisis proper. We kind of touched on the Flash family that was there, the Spectre, Red Canary, the Amazons, and the Green Lanterns. Fun read, 5 stories. 4 of them were really good, and one of them was perfectly fine. So overall, it was a good issue. I see you grinning.
This was, granted, I haven't read many. I think I've only read 2 other tie-ins, but this was definitely my least favorite Dark Crisis piece.
That Wonder Woman in the middle, they do the Amazons dirty during the Dark Crisis. And they put boring writers on everything that's been Wonder Woman adjacent. And I love the Spectre story. Jim Corrigan was
cool.
Yeah, it just kind of emphasized how much I'm excited for this Red Canary character who's like a beacon for hope and her eternal optimism. The Green Lantern one I enjoyed a lot because it focused on Guy Gardner and Joe, and we really get to see their character personalities in full effect and how they kind of rub each other and then they kind of come together. And they're 8-page stories, so there wasn't a lot to really.
Yeah, there wasn't much to any of them.
But what they did really well in this is they made that battle in issue 6 bigger. That battle was happening between all these villains and heroes in front of the Hall of Justice. That fight wasn't our primary focus. That's just a setting. So now in this, we get to really see how big it is. And every panel you can play Where's Waldo with villains in the background and stuff. And it was just a fun issue. It needed to expand that battle out a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, that was my favorite part, kind of playing Where's Waldo and like pointing out everybody I recognized.
Yeah, to me the Spectre and the Green Lantern's 2 tales were the best tales for me. The Spectre just because it's been so long since him and Jim Corrigan have been together and merged. The Spectre has gone through many different folks in the past 30 years at DC. I'm hoping that they find a way to merge Jim Corrigan and the Spectre again because that'll just be, I think it'll just be phenomenal. And then the Green Lantern story because to your point, Mark, they have, there was a lot of, playing into people's characters like, a guy basically wants to, go and fight who they're fighting until Superman falls out of the sky in front of him and he says, I'll go this way instead.
Yeah. Yeah, he wanted to argue with Hal about going and fighting Deathstroke. I'm not staying here to hold the line. I'm going with you. I'll fight Deathstroke. And then Superman falls injured right in front of him. You go. I'll hold the line. Like, that's perfect. Perfect.
And
he wants to be the hero, but not at the cost of his.
Yeah. And then he gives this big speech to, that makes Joe then rally the troops and everything. And at the end, Joe says, it was really your speech that basically, turned the tide. And Guy's like, I thought we were going to die.
Yeah. I didn't I expected to die out here.
I will say this was probably my favorite reading of Guy Gardner, I guess is the best way to put it. I haven't read a ton of his stuff, but generally whenever I do read him, like he's kind of presented as the bad guy in what's that Tom King book?
Yeah, Human Target.
Yeah, like he's kind of presented as the bad guy there, so he comes off exactly the way they want him to come off, And I've seen him pop up in a couple of other things, so I haven't read a lot of him, but this was definitely my favorite reading of him that I've had so far.
It was pretty solid. I enjoyed it. Only got about 1 more tie-in and then the finale to Dark Crisis, and that event will be done.
Yeah.
We have that one you just talked about a little while ago, the Big Bang, which explores all the multiverses.
Yeah,
we
I'm
have
really excited for that.
Dark Crisis number 7.
So there's a full deep dive on this book dropping what day, Paul?
Tomorrow morning, 10 a.m.
Tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. on Paul's channel, Sector 2815. We do the DC Comics deep dive. It's focused on Dark Crisis right now, so We go through the book in all of its detail and talk Dark Crisis on that. So be sure to check that out. Subscribe to his channel. Make sure you comment in those videos. Go back, comment in a lot of them. There's a massive, massive, massive giveaway coming for a special live episode with the finale of Dark Crisis. It'll take place right after the first of the year. You can win. It's like how many books at this point?
Like 50 books plus Crisis on Infinite Earths book plus a poster on Dark Crisis. So lots of good stuff to win.
Which is a light box poster too. You can put it in a regular frame, but if you have the backlit frames, it is a light box poster.
Oh, good. Okay.
So yeah, that's a really nice poster. But I've got got to change it out when the event's over.
Mm-hmm. So I got threatened this week that I had to read this, which was fine. This is Monkey Prince number 9.
Oh, that's an odd cover to choose, but all right.
Just that one issue?
I would have read it anyway. This is number 9. This is in Hookley basically did this. This is the B.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
It's definitely story relevant.
Go ahead, Ryan.
I thought the regular cover was better than that, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, this issue was phenomenal because it really like brought us up to where, like, why, if you only read the first 8 issues of Monkey Prince, you're like, why in the hell is he on the cover of all the Lazarus Planet stuff? Like, he's mostly, I wouldn't say he's a joke, but, he's a very lighthearted character. He's kind of a prankster god in a certain sense. And so in this issue, we actually see him, he's been moving along because his parents are henchmen to villains, which presents an interesting dynamic because the Monkey Prince himself is a hero, but Marcus, is loyal to his parents. So he gets put in these scenarios where like he's fighting the bad guy that his parents are henchmen for. So he's kind of like saving their lives, but also fighting the bad guy at the same time, So that was already kind of an interesting and unique dynamic for this character. But last issue, they basically were working with Atlantis and stuff. And so, once their time is done, they move on. Like Black Manta was, dismantled. So at this point, his parents need to go find another job. So they need another villain. So they have went to Metropolis now. And so they come to work in Metropolis. And of course, they're working for Lex Luthor. And nothing goes right at LexCorp. So like these demons basically come walking in LexCorp at the beginning of the issue and snap his mom's neck. They're like random scientists running down the hall, like fearing for their lives, and one of these demons, the Silver Horde demon and his henchmen come in and like pick her up and snap her neck, and so now Marcus's dad is left with a basically dead mom, and so he like comes back. And then Marcus always has trouble like making friends, but there's this whole thing where like the Monkey Prince is like pure confidence and all of this stuff. And so the longer they spend time together, the more confident Marcus has become. So they're in their first day in Metropolis basically, and his dad shows up outside this diner where Marcus has actually made friends and he's hanging out with them. And he's like, yo, you got to like ditch your friends. And he's like, no, like this is the first time we moved and I made friends. And he's like, I'm sorry, buddy, but like you have to. So he convinces him and he goes and gets in the car and there's his mom's like basically dead body. And he's like, yo, bro, like we got to get out of here, but I know where to go to like solve this problem. So they go to Marcus's mom's dad's place, which is like this cabin outside of Metropolis. And there's like this whole weird dynamic where like the grandpa's like, like I haven't seen you since you were a baby, and at the same time, like there was all this stuff that went down basically with the LexCorp stuff and the demons show up and everything. So Supergirl's like, yo, like something's off. And so she's like kind of like searching, trying to figure out, follow the trail, And so they're at this cabin. He's like meeting his grandpa for the first time. They go into his grandpa's basement. It's just like all teched out and stuff. And it's like, whoa, dude, like makes a little more sense, right? Like Homeboy's a supervillain. That's why his parents are like supervillain henchmen, scientists, people. And then Supergirl comes like flying over and Marcus is out front, like trying to talk to one of his friends from Gotham from all the way back at the beginning of the series. And he sees like Supergirl fly over. And then this is where that whole dynamic comes in, right? He's like looking for my family because they're all supervillains. So he's like, I'm going to stop this before it becomes a problem. Transforms into the Monkey Prince, pulls out his power pole when she just learned how to use and is like amazingly badass with. And he goes up there to fight Supergirl, but then he's also like a teenage boy. So he's like, oh shit, like you're super cute. And like, I would like to get to know you. And so you get like this weird dynamic. And then Grandpa downstairs like gets wind of Supergirl above. His radar is going off, and he's like, yeah, like this is gonna be a problem. And so he's like going, and they're like, you can't just like go out there and fight Supergirl. And he's like, not in this body. And then like flip, and you got like the Monkey Prince up here, Supergirl, and then you got Ultra Humanite pulling weapons, just ready to go. Yeah. Oh, and in this issue, while he's with his friends in the diner, that's when Pigsy gets abducted by the 3 demons from the beginning of the issue and taken back over to the Lazarus pits and all that. So, big issue. Like, big issue. It really explains the weird dynamic.
Yeah, I mean, it really was. It was great. It was to your point, being able to explain the whole family dynamic and everything, and then the reveal at the end with the Ultra Humanite is like he's everywhere now. He's like he's on Stargirl, he's in Monkey Prince, he's everywhere now. The Ultra Humanite. Yeah. It was not a place you want to come in and jump in read without having read anything else.
Oh, you just read that one issue?
What's that?
You just read that one issue?
No, I've been
reading it. I thought you've been reading. I was about to say, wait, what?
Yeah.
After hearing him explain all that, I was about to say, what?
No. But Ryan texted this week and said, make sure you read it before Sunday.
Yeah. Like, dude, whenever Ultra Humanite pops up and pulls the guns, I'm like getting out my Rolodex. Like, who else do I know that is reading this series? Yeah. Like, you have got to be on this at that point.
It was a great story, and and also there's a reference that the demon from the beginning is probably going to be part of Lazarus Planet, because he also makes a reference that his ultimate goal is Superman.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which Superman? We're the same.
Yeah, like at the beginning, that's why they went into LexCorp at the beginning. The demons, They were going to take Superman's DNA, but they get there and there's all these like test tubes of Bizarro.
Right.
And they're like, close but not right. Yeah, it was a phenomenal issue and really like made a lot more sense out of like why Monkey Prince is on the cover of all the Lazarus Planet stuff now, because he's got some deep DC roots at this point.
Yeah, and if you've been reading right along, this issue really pays off for what you've been reading. So.
Oh yeah.
I gotta go back and read it. Sounds fun.
Yeah, this issue was so much fun. I mean, they usually are. Even like the fight in Atlantis and stuff was fun because he's so kind of like goofy. They're like, you need to like meditate and talk that power pole into shrinking. And he's like, but I want to fight over here with Aquaman, It's like this back and forth thing, So it's good. Yeah, it's real good.
How many more books y'all have from this week?
That was the end of for me.
Gotham City Year 1, and that's it.
Don't think my shop got that this week because I saw someone else post it. I'm like, dude, I didn't have that, so I'm gonna have to look again Tuesday. Might have missed it in my pool box. Paul's been out of the shop quite a bit. So
it was a good issue. A little like it was a pretty cool shift in dynamic. Because basically like the baby exchange didn't go down last issue, so there's a lot of fallout from that like kind of does like this really crazy like dynamic shift about what and you get like more backstory on Slam Bradley in this issue as well, and you can kind of see now like where the whole like why Gotham is becoming the Gotham we know today. Did you read this one, Paul? I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention. No, so neither of y'all read it.
No, I didn't pick it up.
It's in my. It'll show up this weekend.
Oh, okay.
Weekend.
I'm gonna have to pick up my copy Tuesday.
Yeah, this one was good. Definitely felt different than the first two, but like you also are starting to see the whole like power shift and the Gotham of today. So it's interesting. It's also got a lot more narration with, I'm assuming, Batman, because sort of like Slam telling the story. Telling the story to Batman is what it seems like through all the narration.
I hate that for you, Biggie. We hit Marvel books already. Kind of get to the end here. But you should be picking up Punisher, Biggie.
Yeah. Yeah, Punisher is fire.
Mm-hmm. I only got one more for this week, and it's that. Is anyone else even reading this? Because I don't want to be.
No. Well, this is like 2 of 3, right? It's not very long, is it?
Well, I'll stick
No,
around then.
it's more than 3.
Oh,
All
it
right.
is?
I'm
It's
back on the fence.
it's not one of the ones that I pull on a weekly basis. It shows up monthly.
So I got to give it to them. They have some of the best covers. They're like semi-matted. Just the people are matted, and the rest isn't. So you get like this or glossed, semi-glossed. But the entire story, there's not a lot of content in these books at all. So the entire thing was Batman and Joker fight off a couple people. They go to the old rundown factory where they think Harley and Gordon are held and face off with a bad guy cliffhanger. It's the whole book. There's not much at all to it. The art's carrying it, and again, I just don't really care about the whole like Joker looking bad guys. I'm just thinking I'm just played out. I don't want a Joker Batman team up book. It's not entertaining for me right now. Maybe at a different time it would be. We do get an idea in this book of what the people are. It's a techno organically grown individual. So they're trying to find out where in the lab, what in the lab these things come from. But they've analyzed a piece of one and they regenerate. So like the little tooth sample that they had that where Batman got bit in the fight in the beginning, it's actually grown into almost like a full-size jaw by the time the issue's over when they have it in a little petri dish in the lab. So that's it. I give it a
Sounds
solid,
nice in 90s.
give it a solid 4 out of 10 for a story. Give it a solid 8 out of 10 for art. It's really
Yeah, I can imagine.
That's all I got for tonight. Y'all got anything else y'all want to hit on?
I mean, I was telling them backstage before Love Everlasting #7 dropped on Saturday, yesterday. So I did get I did get to read that, but you know, I don't generally talk about it until you get caught up. So I wasn't gonna actually say anything.
I'm only on
about it.
issue 4. Like I'm reading the paper copies.
Yeah. No, I'm like super excited and anticipating when you read the 5th issue. Like, I'm pretty sure I'm going to get a message pretty quick after you finish that.
Yeah. So I'm pretty much back. I think I'm back on track. I have to check my little folder of my back issue books I was catching up on, but I think I'm back on track. Oh no, the only book I'm behind on, shockingly, like I've been like catching up as like the next ones are coming out. I rush to read the last one. Batman Curse of the White Knight. That's the only one I'm still behind on. But that's how long that book has been since it last came out. It's off schedule. I just noticed that.
What book is this?
Batman Curse of the White Knight. Exactly. What book is
Oh,
this?
yeah.
Not
Yeah, that
Curse of the
one's
White
been
Knight,
off.
White Knight Beyond. I'm sorry. I keep going back
Yeah,
to
the
Curse
Beyond the
of
White Knight.
By
Yeah.
far the best installment in the White Knight sub franchise or whatever.
Yeah, I'm pretty disappointed that that one's taking forever to get here because it's the last issue, I think.
Yeah.
So, like, just
What do you
end
think?
it.
Where do you think he goes next?
I don't know. Maybe this is the end of the whole White Knight thing. I don't know. This is the only one I've read, so I can't really prophesy based on like his previous picks, you know. What I will say though is this has become a very trendy thing. Like this book, we only find them when they're dead, and there's like 2 other titles that I've been reading that like the last issue of the series just may possibly never materialize. Like all of them are like 2 and 3 weeks off, and it's kind of weird. Like, why does everybody give up whenever they have 1 issue to go?
I don't know. Timing thing maybe. A good example of books getting weird timing is definitely one that drops this coming week with Danger Street finally hitting shelves.
Yeah.
I'm super excited about that.
Yeah. That's going to be a good one.
I think so. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got for tonight. About to get ready to sign off if y'all are good and get ready to kick off the work week. I've got some fun content lined up for this week. Ryan and myself recorded another video. If y'all saw last week, we did the correction to the narrative on the Dawn of DC thing. We wanted to touch on that because of how much of this crap narrative that goes around. What I tend to have noticed is like these commentary channels tend to be outrage channels because you get clicks off negativity. And for people that are genuinely interested in comics or some of the news that are coming out, if they're looking to this platform to get it, it's seriously lacking in people that actually read and enjoy comics being the ones that disseminate and give them those announcements and those news. So excited to try out just kind of talking on some of that stuff. So we did talked about the Dawn of the DC, how it's not a reboot, and wanted just to put that out there, like the correct narrative to what DC themselves said this is versus what people looking for quick clicks says it is. And then this coming week, we're taking a look at Lazarus Planet because that's the next fun event coming out. And I saw where a lot of people were complaining about, oh, they're already doing another Crisis, a big event. No, they're not. No, they're not. This is a very tight-knit, close story that's happening here. It's not even a series. It's a series of one-shots, and there's a lot of fun stuff to talk about. And we go over all of that and some of the stuff that you might want to watch out for in it and some of the stuff to look forward to. That'll drop tomorrow morning. So be on the lookout for that. Paul and myself have the video that drops on his channel tomorrow, Sector 2815 here on YouTube, the DC deep dive into Dark Crisis. And then Ryan, what do you got lined up?
Nothing at the moment. So we'll see how the week pans out.
So Mystery Man Ryan, don't forget to hit that notification bell over there. And also you can follow him on Instagram of both places because a lot of the content you're doing now fits the format for both.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, if you are into the JSA and you want to get kind of reminded about what happened almost 20 years ago now, because that seems to be the direction a lot of the movies are going to go in. Or if you know nothing about the JSA like myself and you would like to know things about the JSA, definitely give me a follow because that's kind of where I'm at right now is reading through that whole 80 some odd issue series.
I like how you say you know nothing about them. You're very well versed in JSA at this point.
Oh yeah. I know it pretty much all at this point. But yeah, if you don't know anything, I have posts from issue 1. So you can definitely find out what the JSA is, what it's all about, and what makes it so unique in a world full of superhero teams.
Well, I appreciate everybody coming in and hanging out tonight. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up on the way out. Not sure what it does, but I'm told it does something. And until next time, as always, I'm Mark, but we are Legion.
Got it? I just turned it on.
No picture. Oh, no.